should give us, I think, all of the things we need. Let's see if I've got volume on Twitch. Twitch doesn't say I'm online yet. Why doesn't Twitch think we're streaming? Oh, no, it says live now. All right. It says live now, but I don't. I don't know how to fix that for Twitch. Oh, there we go. All right. Oh, there we go. This is just a test to see if I've got volume through Twitch. This is just a test to see if I've got volume through Twitch. This is just a test to see if I've got volume through Twitch. Ooh, I fear I do not. Ooh, hear anything. I do not. Hear anything. That's not great. That's not great. Oh, no, I don't have my headphones on. That could be the problem. Oh, no, I don't have my headphones on. That could be the problem. All right, there is volume through Twitch. I'm sorry for the last minute or so, it's probably been circular volume. Sorry. All right, muting Twitch. Confirm that there is some kind of sound there. My setup here is not as good as Katura's, but hopefully I am audible. And we starting in just a minute. You got 8 players, it looks like. So should be 4 rounds. Wish the field good luck. And here we go. Oh, we got 9 players. 9 players, so looks like we're gonna have 4 rounds of play today. TMSS2, not quite sure how to pronounce that. Made it back. Yeah. Pro tip for these games: your browser will time out, and you're only held in queue by your browser. So signing in or joining the tournament well ahead of time is fine, but make sure you get back at least a couple of minutes before the event starts. Otherwise, you might find that you accidentally left the tournament without intending to. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of tables in preparation here. I'm going to kind of arbitrarily watch the top one. It's going to be Quincy Morgus and Aragos. And as we go, we'll try to watch each of these players as they're playing throughout the day. All right, so we've got bids of 2 and 3 respectively. Quincy is going to be going first. a good 3 burdens and starting some dwarves. Argolis is playing our hobbits. We've seen quite a few of this in the events so far this series. Our first league was very heavy, not league, tournament. It was very heavy hobbit based. Sam, Faithful Companion, is who we have been seeing. Seen a couple of different Marys, a couple of different Pippins. Quincy bringing out Son of Hamfest. I'm just going to let him heal off a couple of those burdens. PC errata on Sam, Son of Hamfest, of course, does make him less useful than Fellowship 1. But also, therefore, not an instant drop-in. All right, so we peeled off, looks like a burden, getting underneath the Nazgul sword territory, perhaps. There and back again, and a hand axe on Gimli, Bounder on the field. Moving to the Trollshaw Forest. Great place if you're going to stop here. Lets you draw some extra cards as you play more possessions on your second turn. Of course, stopping at site 2 is not always a thing you want, and the Trollshaw Forest only giving 1 Twilight does make it relatively easy to walk through. So it's always kind of a hit and miss site in my mind. Oh, no shadow played at all, walking straight to site 3. We're at the Council Courtyard, which will remove Twilight when you move through it, whether that happens during the Fellowship phase or the Regroup phase. So it will help everybody moving to Site 4, but with that Trollshaw Forest can also make hopping through it a little bit safer. Still no shadow at all. I wonder if Argolis is setting up some kind of bomb here, or if he just didn't have a great hand for it. He's dropped a Mithril Coat on Frodo, as well as Thorin's Map, which will let him change out some of his sites for his own. Bilbo to get rid of shadow conditions in the opponent's support area, consorting with wizards to help manage both Bilbo's health, keep him alive, can only take wounds during the archery phase, but also to remove some Twilight. And then dropping, nope, I don't think he was going for a bomb. I think he just had a really strong early Fellowship hand. We've got our Site 6 allies starting to come out, as well as Site 3. It looks like a combination of Elven allies. Moved with a good chunk of Twilight 12 left after dropping They Are Coming and a Moria Scout, which will recover some of its Twilight. Couple of Flankers is an interesting pick. We don't see this one very often. It's very cost effective if your opponent has doubled, but it's a little expensive, and Moria often doesn't get a lot of use out of the extra vitality. Though Moria acts on the Scout suggests that that could be a thing that he's going for here. It's kind of a beefier beatdown Moria. Is Pippin going to stealth, or is this a sacrifice to make his Fellowship a little bit lighter? Pippin, Hobbit of some intelligence, of course, his only abilities when he comes into play. So while he is another body and he can use all of the Hobbit stuff, it's not uncommon at all to sacrifice him right here. This is Argolis' Site 2 and 3 on the table. He could well be planning to stop, and he is. But with this site set up, that could be fully expected, where he plans to walk through Site 3 after getting a few more of his equipment out. Especially with the allies in play, Site 3 means that Elrond and Sailbeth, not sure if I'm saying that right, can skirmish at that site as well. So he's got a little bit more defense when he walks into the Council Courtyard. The Dwarven side, we've got Theron, best speed bump ally in the game, to come out and make 1 fight throughout. Pair of Teldarin Wakes again, which is each time he's going to walk from an underground site, which on this site path is at the very least Site 5, but sometimes is Site 4 as well. He's going to heal a dwarf. So Gimli or Gloin will be able to heal up as he marches through the Mines of Moria. A couple more equipment for Gimli, Endurance of Dwarves and Dwarven Bracers. We're seeing our first shadow cards from Argolis. Pair of Urukai, the Raider, and a raiding party, as well as a Saruman's Ambition, which is going to get rid of there and back again and hinder the rest of the conditions in play. Hinder, of course, being a PC-only effect here. that turns them effectively upside down until that player reconciles. So they will be back next turn for Quincy here, but they are not usable until then, or until some other effect allows for an early reconcile or a restore, which is the counterpoint to hinder. PC copy of Uruk Raider here. We've seen this a little bit in our tournament circuit this season. I'm sorry if you hear my children in the background. They are complaining in the kitchen, and I can't do a whole lot about that. This Uruk Raider, when you can spot 2 Urukai, they're each strength +1, which is why these guys are a little bit bigger. Makes him a lot more useful than his Decipher very generic version, where he kind of simply hangs out as a 9/3. Works well if you've got either a swarm or even if he's just kind of augmenting alerts. That +1 strength can go a long way, makes a lot of your strongest Urukai's odd strengths even for overwhelmed territory. And with his 3 vitality, he's not the easiest to overwhelm. So he may well stick around and continue providing that boost. Looks like Quincy is taking good thought on what he wants to do here. The Uruk Raider is not damage +1 right now, so putting him on Gloin seems like a good bet. But unless there's an event in hand, this will be a loss on both of these. Yep, and Gimli did lose his fight. Ooh, Axe Strike from Gloin. Curious to me that that was the choice. Gimli could have used the Axe Strike just as effectively to win the skirmish, preventing 2 wounds instead of the 1. But this is not my deck. I often suggest how I would have done things differently, but I don't know how these are designed to be played. This is, of course, very much my novice commentary. Quincy Morris, I'm sure, has played and tested this and knows what he's doing better than I do. So moving over back to Arglis's turn, he's dropping Hobbit Party Guest to heal Bilbo. The Red Book of West March is going to give him some probably quite solid draw mechanics here with his tails. And Aragorn, this is Estelle. Everyone watching these for the last couple of years will recognize him now, but this is the PC copy of Aragorn. When you play him, as long as he's not in your starting fellowship, you can tutor an elf from your deck, and then he can discard an elven card to get a boost. He's become very effective, one of the kind of most successful companions for PC. He did tutor Rumil, so we've got both of our Site 6 wounding allies out, Urukai or Orcs. It's going to go a long way against Moria, most likely. And Celeborn is going to start being able to heal the important ones, but until Galadriel's on the field, they are limited. There's our second Site 3 ally for the debuffs as well. He's very well equipped in his support area here. And he did drop a Gandalf Aloran while he was in there. Aloran gets stronger for... Excuse me, my throat is got a frog in it. 1 second. Hopefully that's a little bit better. We've got some allergies here in North Carolina, so my apologies if my voice sounds a little off here and there. But Aloran gets stronger for your unique kind of big name elven allies as well as Saruman. But importantly, if you've got 3 elven allies, you can exert him at the start of your fellowship phase to recycle some cards, which can be very effective. Quincy Morris here dropping a pair of Goblin Archers, not something we saw on his first turn, so maybe this is a Moria archery deck. Still not exactly sure. Relics of Moria, they are coming. Very common standard support here, as well as a Goblin Armory. And Eularia Inertio, which is an interesting choice. In Fellowship Decipher, this was a very common anti-large companion group, but he was able to play any minions back at that time. In PC, he can only play Nazgul minions, or Ringwraith minions. So he could have pulled another Nazgul or a Bill Ferny, but not more goblins. Yeah, our goblins did put down a few points of archery, but it looks like they are going to be losing these skirmishes across the board. I wonder if he uses the armory here to keep that bowman alive to stop, to maybe not stop the double, but encourage against it. But no, letting it all go. I suspect in the hopes that Arglist stops here. Arglist is currently behind. Sanctuary would give him 4 heals, but he's very well set up in his support area, so it wouldn't shock me if he decides to move straight through this council courtyard. No, he doesn't. Got a third Telduran Wakes again. When he moves from the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, he's going to be able to heal Gimli and Gloin quite effectively. Until he does that, these wounds stay on the table. Gimli with another Endurance of Dwarves, stacking that vitality, but of course not being massively safe with that vitality. We've already seen Asorman's power hindering those out. If your vitality comes from a card that leaves play, even temporarily from an effect like Hinder, you can find yourself dying to that removal. So Gimli, Son of Gloin, can become very strong here with his skirmish ability and the Endurance of Dwarves, but he also needs to be careful. Losing too many of those conditions can be a real problem. Could lose him, the companion. Right, moving on to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, we're seeing Asorman's Ambition. It's always one of those ones for Fellowship. I love the question of, do we see a couple of 11 points worth of Uruk-hai, or do we see a Balrog? Different decks are really well equipped for different versions of that playout. Balrog here probably would just take out Sam and Tharan, so Uruk-hai coming out is not shocking. Saruman, Servant of the Eye, is going to allow him to assign that Uruk Raider as he sees fit, as long as he's willing to put in the exertions. Howling of Isengard lets you ditch a minion to start the Shadow Phase to get more Twilight. It becomes more valuable if you have Orcs. We have not seen Orcs here yet, but the one... Excuse me. Play for One of You Must Do This is a very common Eisenorg exertion event. It, in this case, is going to put down a single exertion. It's about dwarves, but not elves or men. But it can often put down several more than that. Those men are wizards. Yeah, the Uruk Raider taking out Sam. Their Son of Hamfest has done his job. There are no more burdens on the field. Losing him, of course, means you've got one fewer companion for how many Twilight you produce, but as well as one fewer characters that you could throw away later to a much scarier fight than a single Uruk Raider. Quincy stopping there. When he moves to Site 6, he's going to be in good shape. He may well be planning on a double through there, based on his Telduran Wakes again. He's going to heal at least 3 of his 4 wounds on his dwarves. Bounder hitting the table, giving a little bit more survivability to Frodo and Sam here. Drawing cards with Elrond, continuing his ally setup. There's Galadriel. The Wounding Elves will be in full effect. His Skirmishing Elves already were very well set up here, Argolis. Additional Rosy Cotton and a host of elves, which will help keep his elves alive, as well as reducing the archery total, which often doesn't come into play, but we have seen a few Goblin Archers here, and possibly that will be a large effect on this deck overall. So Argolis is behind. He's 2 sites back, but he is very well set up to be able to just move at this point. His companions may or may not be as well equipped as they would like to be, but Frodo with Sting, Sam with a Frying Pan, puts him in good shape against the goblins. Aragorn is going to be large enough to fight just about anything that goblins can put down, and Lauren is in good shape as well. Just a question of how many doubles can he make to get past here. Fellowship is so well set up, but he needs to use those resources. Constant risk as you move through these various pieces. He does keep his Goblin Scavengers alive from Rumil. Going for it again. Curious on the take there. Unless I've missed something, the Scavengers would have lost to Aragorn. but I suppose that would have meant that one of the goblins would win a skirmish somewhere, so perhaps just saving his companion's wounds in favor of putting them on his elves between Celeborn and Galadriel will be in full shape again by the next fellowship phase. I suppose at the end of the next fellowship phase. We've got somebody in the Twitch chat. Do not know how to pronounce this name. Gijeli, the big T, just popping in to say hi. Great to have you, however quickly. Right, moving on to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Plays his one marksman, which is going to let him pull the Balrog. It's the Tang War version, but if we hover it here, we can see what it does. This is going to let him exert the Balrog to pull out goblins. It's probably going to pull the runners first. Nope, flankers first. More flankers. No runners at all. Grabbing axes for those flankers. Okay, they will be solid size. He doesn't need to worry about these flankers. The Moria axe will let him exert either of them, assuming they both get one, to get up to a potential strength 17, damage +1. The elves here can come into play to prevent overwhelms pretty effectively. This one, Gloriator, who can produce -1 for each elf you can spot, so it's going to be quite a large orc debuff, but he may well need to be used twice here to keep the companions healthy. The Balrog, of course, is still a strength 17, fierce damage +1. And Moria Archer, while not doing a whole lot here, may well still be producing an extra wound from a skirmish. There's just too many characters on the board that they're going to have to deal with this. So there's our -6 reduction. That flankers cannot exert enough to win the skirmish unless he's got additional boosts. Marksman deals his wound. Balrog eating Mary. And Gandalf takes his lickings from the goblin flankers. The Balrog is fierce here. None of these elves are particularly effective against the Balrog. He could produce a -1 here or there if he was trying to avoid an overwhelm, but I think Aragorn is just going to have to take his 2 wounds. So certainly not an ineffective round here for Quincy. Whittling the Fellowship down is going to be hugely helpful here if he can drop a swarm later on the site path. Aragorn and Gandalf are probably never going to really be in danger, but being able to get rid of some of the others gives a much better chance that he'll be able to pull off an overwhelm on Frodo or Sam later in the game. All right, he used Bilbo to get rid of the card that gives Hollowing of Isengard. I don't remember what it was. Healed up nicely from his dwarves as he moved. Another Swordsman's Ambition, and we are seeing some Eisenorks here. Dropping and banning a reason for madness. Hate and Anger has been errated recently. It's now an Uruk-hai and an Orc. No longer is it an Uruk-hai and a Moria Orc. So allowing the combination of Eisenork and Uruk-hai to be able to draw additional cards. Doesn't have any Twilight left here to play those additional cards, but still helps cycle out his deck. Draw through and discard what he doesn't need. He may be running some events that are free, especially with the Swordsman's Ambitions, making them cheaper. The Uruk-hai raiding party is not getting its boost. It only triggers off spotted Uruk-hai, not Isengard minions. But both of them are still large enough they may well be winning their fight if there's no boost. And that Orc commander, if he does win, is likely to put down 3 additional wounds during the regroup phase. Quincy's rather tight fellowship and lack of support on Frodo. It's got to make him a little bit wary here about how much he's going to be moving. An Axe Strike to boost up against the Orc commander, dropping a pair of wounds there. He'll get a single exertion, but not nearly as bad as it could have been if he'd won. And then Gloin. Gonna take his 2 wounds. Let's see. Yeah, 2 wounds on Gloin. 1 more probably on Frodo. I suspect Quincy doesn't move through this as much as he may have been hoping to breeze right through Site 6. Unless he's got significantly more companions in that deck and just hasn't drawn them yet. It is a large deck. Moria being pretty good at churning through it. Probably needs to heal Gloin up. Back to Argolas, catching up. He's still 1 site behind, but it's better than he was during his last Fellowship phase. He's pulling his ally healing, dropping an Aragorn's bow, which is going to be hugely impactful here against a potential swarm. Not so much against things like those flankers. Still not entirely sure what Quincy is running more of. We'll have to see as the game plays out. Stone Trolls, played from Bilbo, probably not going to do anything here unless the Cave Troll is in amongst the swarms. Getting rid of an armory, and playing another Red Book of Westmarch. Stacking up some Twilight for it, but still drawing the additional card. Yeah, doing some simple hospital stuff here. It's not a full hospital, at least not yet. Not sure if we just haven't seen the Gaffer. The Unbound Hobbits were clearly sacrificable, so it could be that we were seeing them and don't expect to see a Farmer Maggot. So more Stone Trolls. Again, it's good as a tail. It lets him draw cards with the Red Book. He can use it with Bilbo to clear out his opponent's support area. But it's not by itself going to be doing a whole lot unless there is a Cave Troll. Quincy is pulling out something from his discard pile. Yeah. Moria set up without all of the support area conditions is a little bit of a rougher play. He may well have ways of getting them back. For example, he just dropped another Goblin Armory after drawing the Goblin Patrol Troop. Getting as many orcs out as there are companions is probably good news for him. It means that somebody needs to do some kind of direct wounding, or he can expect to have at least a chance of winning some of these skirmishes. I'm a little surprised to not see Vermil taking out more here. But if he's planning to stop, then it really doesn't matter. This is Site 6, so it's the last time the Elven allies can participate in skirmishes if they would like to. Unless, of course, they've got swan boats. I forget the name of the card. There are events that allow you to have your allies skirmish outside of their home sites. Yeah, California here is going to wound the bowman, make him stop being an issue entirely. Keeping the bowman alive. Interesting choice. Prepping for a double, perhaps. Forcing him to think about whether or not he's going to keep moving. This is the moment for him to double if he wants to be able to clinch that he can win the game if his fellowship can stay alive. Moving to Site 7 means he can move to Site 9 next turn. If he stops here, then he's racing Quincy based on whose shadow can stop the other, and he will be at a disadvantage because he will be the second player. But he does stop. So Quincy healing up to full. He's got a pair of Bounders, which leaves him in a good position to keep Frodo alive. Getting some mill cards that allow him to boost, as well as ways to get back some of his lost weapons. It's really good for things like hand axes, but also if he's discarded a weapon throughout the game to use some of the other milling effects like they are coming. Not sure if he's actually got any in his discard pile at present. does look like it is mostly shadow cards in here. 71 cards still left. He's not milling through his deck very effectively here. Whether that is a just unfortunate draw situation or the deck is maybe a little bit too large, depending on what it's facing off against. This late in the game, you'd expect to see Moria have gone through about 2/3. It's only about a third and a half the way through it. Moving into the Anduin Wilderland, there will be no archery phase here. It's an interesting choice for a deck that has so many Elven Archer events. But importantly, it's not. I'm totally forgetting the name of the card, but the Site 7, the discards all allies. That would be really devastating here for Argalus. Wow, got a bit of a swarm coming down. Berg Savages and Isengard Shaman are not doing anything particularly special here, but damage +1 is not going to hurt if he gets them doubled up somewhere. The Orthanc Berserker has been errated. It can now spot 5 Isengard cards, which are on the table, and he can exert to exhaust probably Gimli. Any companion except for the Ring Bearer. So that is a big play here. The Saruman's Ambition making card number 5 that he can spot. Waiting to see what his play is for it. Yeah, this swarm is not terribly large, but it is really dangerous here. You know, Gimli or Gloin could fend off any of the little ones, but Frodo's only a strength 4. 12 to overwhelm after using a bounder. Maybe we see Tharan utilized here so that the rest of them can move along fairly safely. Nope, Tharan was not used. So, curious to see where this plays out. Gimli, now exhausted, does not have access to his ability, but is also again in danger of the Endurance of Dwarves. Only takes one of them to be discarded or hindered at this point in time for Gimli to leave play. So that Uruk Savage could go on Frodo. Saruman's Ambition would boost them to a 12. If there's no boost in Quincy's hand, that would be game, but it looks like it's going on Gimli, trying to secure the kill. It's a dwarf deck. Gimli could well have enough boost to easily get through this, but it would require more than one event in order to do so. All right, well, there's the first one. Flurry of Blows for +4 strength. He's got 2 hand weapons with the 2 hand axes. Second Flurry of Blows, bringing him up to strength 17. Almost certainly going to force the Ambition. Do we have a third pump? So we're using Realm of the Dwell Dwarf, which lets him discard the top 3 cards of his deck to get strength +1. It is limit 3, but 2 is what he needed here. Gimli taking out both of them. Gloin will win his skirmish, and Frodo will lose his, but is wearing a mithril coat. It's the Tangwar, so it's not necessarily easy to see at the glance, but take a single wound unless there's a boost of some kind coming. Really nice play from Quincy here. I gotta think he's out of skirmish events at this point, though. Probably gonna stop. A double here would be exceedingly dangerous. Yes, Quincy does reconcile. He is discarding minions from hand, which suggests either he's got a very strong shadow hand or he's trying to build up for a race to Site 9. Could go either way. Argalus getting the Prince of Mirkwood, build the pony on Sam. Never too late to reduce the Twilight count just a little bit on these last few sites. He's drawing and healing. using the Twilight Pool. Getting as close to 0 as he can. Healing probably to draw more cards. Nope. He may have hit his limit. I wasn't counting. But keeping his Twilight as low as he could possibly get it. And running here, only 9 Twilight coming at site 7. Which is... There must be a reduction, one more somewhere that I'm missing. I thought it was going to be 10. Not a lot coming out. The Scavengers were able to discard his Host of Thousands, or it's not what it's called. Oh, discard the Last Alliance. But Goblin Army maybe helps for a future setup. His minions are not doing anything to stop this move. Using Sting both to reduce the Twilight Pool, but also to get a peek at his opponent's hand. There is a Cave Troll of Moria in there. Those Stone Trolls could come into play after all. But there is also 3 Fellowship cards. Letting Quincy reconcile. He discarded that Cave Troll. Arbalest decides to stay. Perhaps he thinks he's got this win, and all he needs to do is get a stop here. Certainly would have expected a double there. He's in such good shape. Would have forced Quincy to have to double if he was going to have any chance of moving on. Gimli's Battle Axe and Helm, having moved the Hand Axe over to Gloin. I'm going to rearrange. Can I rearrange these? Oh, I can't rearrange these. I can rearrange the support area, but apparently not the order of equipped cards. Gloin and Gimli are both very well equipped, if a little late in here. Moving into the Gates of Argonath, there will be no maneuvers this phase. Which will stop another Orthanc Berserker. Dropping a pair of Saruman's Ambitions. It's got to be the last 2 in the deck. We've seen at least 2 already. I don't think he's cycled anything through somehow. Saruman, Servant of the Eye, will allow him... no. Yes, will. It's an assignment phase action. It will allow him to assign this Berserker wherever he wants it. Berserker will not be able... Berserker will be able to. Gates of Argonath stops maneuver events, not maneuver special abilities. He will be able to exhaust Gloin, and then use Saruman to assign the Orthanc Berserker to whichever dwarf he would like. So, Realm of the Dwarf will let either dwarf win without using up those ambitions. So, if there's a lot of kind of mind games going on with what your opponent may or may not have, he's going to have to think through this. He does know that Quincy is holding a Hobbit Intuition, which means Frodo just went from a potential 12 to overwhelm to a 21. It's going to make this a much harder fight if he doesn't get rid of Gimli and or Gloin to get an overwhelm at Sightline. I'm not sure if he chose not to use the Orthanc Berserker, or if I am mistaken about how the site works. Forcing the skirmish on Gloin or on Gimli. He's using an Axe Strike, not milling his deck for the +2. Milling to get just the +1. Second Saruman's Ambition's not being used, being held in reserve. Gimli's Battle Axe. Exerting or wounding no work. And he is running. Isengard minions will be cheaper here. Don't know how many are likely to be coming into play. Abandoning Reason for Madness, so you can discard out quite a few cards that are not useful here. Get as much as he can out. Oh, the Urt Captain will let him tutor somebody else, but this swarm is not insignificant, even without the use... Oh, no, it's a captain, not a lieutenant. No. Yeah, he is the tutor. Just not needed to be used here. Exhausting Gloin, assigning, his smallest to dwarves, forcing, looks like a 30 on Frodo. Which means Frodo needs to be able to get to an 11 before Bounder gets utilized. We know he's got a Hobbit Intuition in hand from Sting's Glance earlier. He would need 2 more boosts. What did I miscount? Why did I say it was going to be a 30? It's only a 19. I did something wrong. Oh, Tharon came out. I missed that Tharon came out. Yeah, I think Frodo's actually going to be fine here. We know he's got that intuition, which means it's a 21 to overwhelm. There isn't Urukai on him, so no, he would still need more. He will need more than a single intuition in order to survive this. The question is, does he have it? Yep, he does. There's a Hobbit Stealth, bringing it up to a 6. Intuition will make a 9, and Bounder will make a 27 to overwhelm. Unless I'm mistaken about the intuition. I would have sworn we saw that. Nope, Bounder doesn't double up like that. Am I wrong about what we saw? I may be wrong about what we saw. Maybe it was a stealth and not an intuition, and I've been judging this incorrectly the entire time. What an end there, not how I thought it was going to play out. A win for Arbalest. Very well played. Right, looks like the rest of the games are already done. That was our last one. So we'll give it a moment here for the next round to start up. I don't see any comments I need to respond to. So yeah, I believe 1 minute is how long it takes for the next round to kick off. We're just going to give it that time. Quick glance, I can see Basmelis won his match. I do not know about the other 2. So we will try to catch a game that has neither Quincy Morris or Arbalest on the next round. There are going to be 4 rounds today. If I can figure out who's in round 4, who's competing for first, we'll watch that one. But until then, let's watch Destali and Fly You Fools. Right. Looks like Destali bid 4 and put out the Prancing Pony. Bid of 2 from Fly You Fools. Destali's peeling off 1 burden with Pippin, bringing out Horticulturalists, so we're going to be seeing some Hobbit allies here, as well as Sam Faithful Companion. These Hobbits should get well equipped pretty quickly. And presumably Aragorn will come out turn 1. Legolas, son of Thranduil, is not one we see very often. His becomes a 2-archer, or double archer, forests and rivers, but pretty uncommon in all blocks, to my knowledge, certainly in this one. Being asked if I'm streaming. Yes. And then we've got Arwen here, who is strength +3 against Nazgul. So Bilbo dropped from hand. Sam, not sure which he tutored. We've got a Red Book of Westmarch and a Mithril Coat. Legolas, Prince of Mirkwood, along with the Stone Trolls on Aragorn. We are over 6 companions here, and Ankea could be unfortunate if it was in Fly You Fools' opening hand, but it looks like instead we're going to be seeing possibly a little bit of a Moria Swarm, though not enough in hand. 14 Twilight out there, and Destali's going to Site 3. I wonder if he's actively looking to be able to kill off Pippin here to get himself down underneath the 6 companion threshold. Aragorn with Stone Trolls, going to give him some strength against a Cave Troll play, but otherwise, like in the last game, is just an extra tail. It does look like nothing was played, and we are off to Fly You Fools' Fellowship phase. I was asked if I was streaming. Nope. I did confirm. I have not gotten a response. Shards of Narsil. A King in Exile played from hand. Nope, used with Prancing Pony. Got No Stranger to the Shadows on the King in Exile to keep Shadow low. And I would have gone with you to the end. This is a really interesting card. Whenever you play skirmish events on your Aragorn Signet companions, you can stack them here. And later you can discard cards from here for additional boosts. Shards of Narsil, of course, lets us stack Gondor cards, whether they're duplicates or cards you just don't feel like you need right now, much faster than needing to discard them or force them to be played out of hand. And then you can pull them back when you need them at a cost of 1. But for an event deck, it also likely opens up the use of Still Sharp, which is a strength +3, damage +1 boost for, I want to say Gondor men. Though it could be for Rangers. I don't think so, though. So, interested to see if that's a large part of this skirmishing deck. Yep, there it is. Still Sharp coming out right away. As soon as I talked about it, it is Gondor Companions, not Gondor Men, but gave Aragorn the damage +1 he needed. Swordsman of the Northern Kingdom works on Rangers, not on Gondor or Men. Aragorn, daughter of Elrond, to win their fight. Dagger Strike thrown out there on Legolas, but he doesn't have a weapon, so he's unable to get the actual boost to it. But that is 3 skirmish events already stacked on I Would Have Gone With You to the End, giving him potential +3 whenever he needs it. It is limit +3, but he can use it multiple times. This does not discard for its effect. And I did hear some kind of something failing sound. I'm not sure what it was. My headset die? My headset may have turned off. I don't have anything playing noise, so I'm not sure. Moving again here, and easily fighting through the first 2 skirmishes. Legolas does win his. Both of our fellowships made it to Site 3 successfully, both with, I think, fairly decent first turn setups. Frying Pan coming down on Frodo. Mary is going to tutor a Bounder, keep those hobbits in good shape. Sam is pulling Thor's Map, ensure that he's got some kind of control over the site path, most likely just to ensure that Site 7 doesn't discard his allies on him. But no, using it right away, forcing Hollin out there. His Urkai will not be roaming on Site 4. Using Bilbo along with Stone Trolls to get rid of the They Are Coming. Attacking your opponent's support area when they're playing Moria is extremely important. If it gets too set up, there's often very little you can do. So we're seeing Goblin Armory kicking off here pretty strongly with the Scavengers playing multiple weapons, one from hand, one from discard. Ancient Chieftain is not one we see a lot of. It does get stronger for every orc you spot, but if his skirmishes last, those orcs may not still be around. Scrabblers don't have an elven condition to discard. The Wall Crawler is not underground to get its effect. But it will be reducing the archery total, which is not a bad thing here at Site 2. We also saw Dark Places, which makes a unique minion strength +1. An underground site you can, or an opponent site you can swap if you're martial underground site. It doesn't look like he had a underground site for. Probably just for the strength +1. It is going to apply to the Ancient Chieftain here, and it may apply to things like the Cave Troll, the Balrog, a few other options. So we're assigned out. I think this is the Pippin sacrifice that I was waiting for. Get him down under that 6 companion limit. Okay, is always a danger. Worried Fly You Fools may be having some connection issues. He left and rejoined the room. Aragorn discarding copy of Gwemagil to get a strength boost. No Arwen in play yet. Makes that very understandable. Pippin dying to reduce the companion count. Sam takes his wound, and Legolas does as well. Fly You Fools gets to reconcile, and Astali is stopping. Does not want to walk into the Bridge of Khazad-dûm with 4 minions already on the table. Flaming Brand, Song of Elendil, armor, all set up for Aragorn. All he's missing is a Ranger's sword. You Have My Sword. This is another PC card. I really enjoy this. Plays out a companion with the Aragorn Signet, except for Aragorn himself. And each time the bearer wins a skirmish, you have to exert Aragorn or discard this condition. Makes it really good either if you've got a way of keeping Aragorn well healed on somebody to win all of their fights, or in situations like this where you put it on Frodo, he's just that much harder to overwhelm. He probably will never win a skirmish this game. King Exile is discarding a single card. I would have gone with you to the end to get his +1 strength there to take out the 9 strength Earth Captain. He is stopping, also not prepared to walk into Khazad-dûm. Looks like he might just not be set up to face the Balrog. Aragorn does have armor in his strength 9, but the dark places on the table means the Balrog would be an 18. So likely stopping until he can get rid of... Nope, I'm looking at the same side. Ignore that. It's his own dark places. Moving over to Dastali. Dastali here is getting rid of some conditions, getting more hobbits out. Merlit Bandebuck will stop burdens. Probably not something he's going to worry too much about here against a Moria deck, but you never know. Could be running some kind of Lost to the Goblins bomb. Bridge of Khazad-dûm and 26 Twilight against a Moria deck. We're very likely to see the Balrog and a Swarm here. Curious to see if Dastali is set up to survive it. He's got a good breadth of companions. There are 6 of them once again, with Arwen, Lady Indemital hit at the table, with only 1 Elven ally out. Her opponents will only get -1 strength, but she does have her sword, making her a good combatant against the goblins, at least one-on-one. Fly is taking a solid minute here to figure out probably his count. Wants to make sure he doesn't burn through that Twilight and not get the optimal number of minions out. Know they are coming is going to mean he can't just start cycling cards in order to get more out. But if he's running the Flame of Udun, the rare Balrog from the first block, he'll be able to pull several of them back from his discard pile, though at a cost of premium. He has left the room again, though. I'm concerned Fly's having some network issues. It's unfortunate for him. Alright, he's back. Goblin Armory, starting with a host of thousands to get something out. You only need 1 Moria Orc in order to play Flame of Udun from your draw deck with the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. Scavengers is going to pull back a Scimitar, starting a draw engine and adding Twilight. There is the Balrog. It is the Flame of Udun. Getting its sword, it will be a strength +2. Strength, damage +2, strength 21, fierce minion. Nothing on the table from Dastali's end can deal with that. Aragorn's bow, however, could well be significant here. He can't use the Balrog too many times without risking Aragorn simply exerting to shoot him down. He has put himself in that point. So I'm unclear if that is an oversight or if there is a mechanism I am missing to allow the Balrog to stay alive. The Durin's Bane Balrog does allow you to, I believe, skip the Fellowship phase, but Flame of Udun does not. I'm saying all of this, but I don't actually have the cards up. Yeah, my memory is fuzzy. I've not been playing as much as I would like lately. All right, moving to the archery phase. Did not use Aragorn to shoot down the Balrog. Perhaps he's looking to get rid of Merry and as a way of somebody surviving. Not entirely sure. He is at 6 companions again, so planning to get rid of 1 doesn't shock me. Planning to get rid of 2 would be a surprise here. No armor on the field. I'm going to throw a code on Frodo. If you could get Frodo to an 11, he'd be okay. Or with a bounder on the field, I suppose getting Frodo to an 8 would be sufficient. Perhaps Frodo's going to body the Balrog. Curious to see. Stella is going to discard a duplicate of Arwen, get the strength boost. I'm not sure. Oh, Fly has to decide whether or not he's going to use the armory. While he's figuring that out, Frodo does clearly need either a bounder or a boost to survive the chieftain. Mary is not going to survive this Bellarug, and Legolas could take a single wound here if there's no tricks in play. Especially if Frodo's going to end up using bounder, and he may well not. There might be a boost in play. No, Frodo has a frying pan. Frodo's going to use a frying pan to take out this chieftain. Those goblin armories. No, I'm just wrong. Stolly's got me all over the place here. Frodo is using bounder to survive, taking a single wound, thanks. All right, and the Balrog is going to eat Sam. Unless there is a Hobbit stealth here. This is the last site where a Hobbit stealth would work, so Sam surviving that method is not a bad play by any stretch. This did not play out the way I expected in multiple areas. Stolly down to a core 4 companions, no backup for Frodo in the form of Sam, and his bounder is spent. There may well be more companions in this deck. That could be very intentional drop down if he's got Gandalf or Boromir waiting to come out. Speaking of Boromir, we've got one on Fly's side of things, stacking a Hobbit Sword on Frodo as well, less on Boromir. Boromir is well equipped to take on the Balrog. He is the only companion in the game, at least in the block, who can survive the Balrog once with no equipment. Requires the strength to be tripled to be overwhelmed, so a strength 17 Balrog does not do it. No armor means he can't do it twice, but very, very strong drop right before you move, assuming you don't want Aragorn to have to burn through too many things here, or if there is a play that puts down more than the single Balrog. He is going against a Uruk-hai deck, though, so Balrog may not be what we see here, depending on the Twilight count. We might be seeing a little bit of an Uruk ball. 18 Twilight, not roaming. Dropping a Palantir, not something we see a whole lot of. Lets you look at your opponent's hand, get some strength bonuses if they don't stack their cards on top of the deck instead. Is being used here. Uruk Savage. So this is going to allow Fly to stack any number of Free People's cards he wants on top of his deck, but he will then reveal his hand, and he will make that minion, the Uruk Savage in this case, strength +1 for each Free People's card revealed. So Fly kept the Dagger Strike and Secret Sentinels. Both cards I expect he's planning to use this turn, allowing the Uruk Savage to get to strength 7. Uruk Raider is responding to Elrond's exertion from Secret Sentinels. It's not going to be enough to kill Elrond here, but it is still an extra wound that he'll have to heal up. Saruman is forcing the Raider to fight Aragorn. The Raider will almost certainly lose that skirmish, unless there is a skirmish event going in play, but he is putting his weakest minion on his opponent's strongest companion. Or not forcing, Legolas could have exerted to stop it, but putting the Orthanc Berserker on Legolas, who will almost certainly lose that fight, and at least enough strength on Arwen to force her to do something about it. Yeah, Aragorn handily takes out the Raider. Legolas takes 2 wounds from the Berserker. Looks like we're going to be discarding 2 cards to give Arwen the boost she needs, discarding Saruman's Ambition to bring the Savage up. Damage +1 will exhaust Arwen, leaving Fellowship here in a little bit of a rough shape. But they can stop, and next site will be a Sanctuary. So as long as there's not too many minions played there, Boromir or Frodo may well be able to fend them off enough to start getting some heals. Stolly's getting his Ranger's Blade down along with Galadriel. This is Galadriel that lets you play your own sites, as long as they are forests, and can heal an elf each turn, not the Galadriel that heals all Site 6 elves. Very effective when supporting Site 3 elves or Legolas Arwen, but probably means we don't have Ramil and whatever Ramil's counterpart here is for Site 6 wounding allies. Galadriel dropped here does mean she can skirmish if there is too many minions opposing her. Valley of Silverloot. Fly dropped temporarily again. Alright, seeing our goblins coming down, Runner and Moria Scout are all cost negative or neutral here. Scavengers pulling out the axe to make the chieftain much larger. Secret Sentinels getting rid of Goblin Armory and hindering Dark Places. Second Secret Sentinels getting rid of the second. So not a giant swarm. That chieftain is rather large, but unlikely to cause an overwhelm here. I don't know if Destali was planning to stop. He's in kind of middling shape where he could, but doesn't have to. This may well be enough to force it. Frying Pan from Frodo, having gotten rid of those armories, effectively neutralizes this. So I was wrong once again. I missed the Frying Pan play there. And Destali will be in good shape if he chooses to double. I don't know that he will. Not necessarily the strongest place to do so. He is going to reconcile and heal up. He is ahead, so a double there would effectively turn this into a His Free Peoples versus Fly's Shadow game, and could be too much too soon. Boromir is getting a Flaming Brand. Oh, nope. What's going on, Aragorn? Aragorn's got 2 Flaming Brands, and a bow, and armor. Saga of Elendil, no Stranger of the Shadows. Bounder coming out. Frodo is going to be very difficult to overwhelm, requiring a 24 with just the cards on the table. Orthanc Berserker and a Breeding Pit to cycle them back into his deck. Playing a Uruk Rampage, and Saruman will give us well over the needed 5. The Tower of Orthanc, because of the Exhausted Companions, has been adding extra here as well. Just a brutal combination in the current meta. Greed will help put more on Frodo, and we're using the Palantir to see if we can't get that Uruk Savage large enough to win a fight. Whether or not Fly You Fools is willing to stack all of his suitable cards on top of his deck or not. No, he did not. He's kept quite a few Free People's cards in play. Uruk Savage getting +3. Our Berserker is exhausting Boromir, who was our only fresh companion here, except for the Ringbearer, who cannot be targeted. One arrow going on the Uruk Savage. Uruk-hai Armory being discarded and removed to prevent the second wound. So Saruman here has full ability to assign these as he sees fit, with so many exhausted companions. Even Legolas' ability to exert once to prevent an assignment is not going to be sufficient to stop Saruman from putting these wherever he chooses. There's only 2 Twilight left, so Uruk Rampage is not going to make anybody fierce. Greed is going to... Nope, Greed is not the card I was thinking it was. Greed applies if there are 6 companions, and there are not. So we know that there are boosts here, and we've seen his hand, but they are going to need to be used in order to try to save these companions. I don't think Boromir is going to happen, but Arwen may have enough boost to keep her alive. Strength +2 from a swordsman of the Northern Kingdom. Discarding it. Savagery to match their numbers, bringing that savage up to a 12 and making them fierce. The newest errata on savagery is going to mean that they are a 10 during the fierce skirmish. The +4 does not apply to the whole thing. Arwen pushing hard. Dagger Strike is not going to give any strength, though. Arwen is going to die there. I wonder if that was a misplay, if the +2 strength was expected to be enough with the discard again. But because there was no hand weapon, it didn't do what it expected. Putting that Urg Savage on Legolas. Legolas is not a ranger, and so does not benefit from the plethora of events we've seen, but Legolas is exerting to stop it. Aragorn is going to take that fight, discarding the Dagger Strike, and winning the skirmish. It's a fairly brutal Site 6 here for Fly. He is able to heal up enough that at the Sanctuary he will heal to full, but he will be walking through with only Aragorn and Legolas left. We know the Orthanc Berserkers have been shuffled back into Stolly's deck. With 4 support area Isengard cards, it does not require much for him to exhaust Aragorn again. Stolly is reconciling, and Fly is having a think, but I can't imagine he's not going to reconcile here. Yes, there he goes. All right. Stolly heals up. Last Alliance on Aragorn to bring him into a stronger fighter. Glordir to give a bonus against the elves, and Fly accepts that this is just not going to happen. Concedes the match. Well played, both. That was really fun to watch. Absolutely devastating use of those Berserkers. Really well played. We do have a couple of games still going here. Let's quickly check out Quincy Morris. Somebody is at Site 9, so we can watch the very end of this. And there might be time to jump over to see the very end of our third match. So it looks like Quincy is at Site 9 with Frore and Frodo alone, a Troop of Uruk-hai, and an Orthanc Assassin on the table. He is equipped with Lurtz's sword, but will not get the extra damage +1 without being a Lurtz. Without being Lurtz, not a Lurtz. Tharin coming out to prevent one of these from going, and Savages match their numbers, pushing for the win, but it will not make him fierce without 5 companions. We may have snuck in to see this just in time to watch a fairly epic fight between these dwarves and Uruk-hai, but Frodo safely sitting on the sidelines. Unlikely to have the same kind of support as Frore did, but successfully surviving with Frodo and Frore alone. Looks like Stefan is playing another Elven Ally deck. Seems quite common in the meta right now. We'll take our last look at the last couple of sites here for Basmelis versus Bird. Basmelis has some allies as well set up here. Looks like a combination of Site 3 and 6 allies. Aragorn that's well equipped. Hobbits that are not in bad shape. Rosie Cotton using the Rosie Cotton Special Edition for Basmelis' win of the World Championship last year. Custom card he was able to pick, and he is the only one in the world with this particular 2025 World Champion text on the bottom of it. Some other players have World Competitor or World Challenger text, but only Basmelis has this particular card. Like Bird is dropping Moria on him. Seeing the new Goblin Archer is really cool. This one recently saw an adjustment. He allows you archery total is lower, but new assignment ability you can exert to prevent archers from being assigned. It keeps Goblin Archers safely doing what they want to do, which is shooting and not getting slaughtered in skirmishes. I haven't seen it played much, and he is still 5 costs, making him quite expensive. But it's a interesting thought, at least, on how it can limit your archers from being stopped and hopefully produce additional stops. It does only work for Moria archers, however. That Orthanc Assassin is an archer, but will not be allowed to avoid skirmishes. Yeah, so he is using the Goblin Archer. The Goblin Archer itself does not have to fight here. Orthanc Assassin, unless there's a boost, is going to lose to Aragorn, as will the Goblin Warrior. But they did get a few wounds down here, with Brown Lands contributing like 2 extra. Having not seen this deck play out at all, I don't know if there's likely to be enough archery or swarm to do what it needs to do at Site 9 for Basmelis to be able to walk or not. But it is fun to see what's going on. So he is going to move, drawing an additional 4 cards from Bird here, thanks to the 4 burdens on Frodo. Runner suggests the beginnings of a swarm. Drawing that more cards. Archer Commander is going to make the archers better at fighting. And an K coming out, but just shy of being terribly usable here. 4 burdens, 5 companions. Neither of his triggers are hit. He is, however, still a Strength 11 and Fierce. If there's a solid swarm that ends up materializing here, that could go a long way. I don't think there's a huge concern on Basmelis' side. He does have a Bounder to help keep Frodo healthy, and Sam's got a Frying Pan. So as long as there's not so many wounds that Frodo can't put on the ring to absorb them, Sam is likely to be able to survive anything he needs. There are no armories in play. Rumil is picking off a couple here. There will be 3 archery coming through. Frodo could absorb that as 4 burdens and 1 on a cell if he wants. Or he could, at this point, put it on Sam. There's not enough minions to make it a terrible choice either way. Heya is taking his 2. And unless there is some kind of trickery at foot from Bird, I think Basmelis is going to be able to ensure that Frodo and or Sam survives this without much trouble. He may well be losing Gandalf and Legolas, though. He is giving it a solid think here. Just take a quick look. We've got some pretty serious debuff against orcs. Potential -1 anywhere if he needed it. None of that looks like it's going to come into play, unless he feels like saving companions that, well, thematically are important, do not matter for the victory of this game. Sam using his Frying Pan to survive handily. Looks like a tight one. I'm really curious to see. Maybe we'll watch Bird's game next. Lorien Elf is not super common. Looks like maybe there's some kind of archery plan here. Not the same kind of fellowship that we've been seeing elsewhere, unless Basmelis did something to tear it apart. So for our next round, our penultimate, let's take a look at how he's doing. And then we'll check the standings and see if there is an obvious single game that will determine the winner. And we'll watch that in round 4. So there's going to be a 1-minute break here once again. Our players give a chance to grab something to drink or run to the restroom. before the tables come up. I'm going to take that as a moment to check to see if we've got comments anywhere that I need to respond to. I'm not seeing any. Gimp chat, Twitch, and the voice channel are all pretty quiet. We've got 4 people watching, but not a lot of chatter going on. Don't know how to see who's watching. Anything that can be done? I'm not very well versed with Twitch. Our tables are up. All right, so several players here we haven't watched. I did just say I wanted to watch Bird. We haven't seen TM2S2, TMSS2, or Solifin, but we have seen all of their opponents. So let's take a peek at Bird. I was really interested in seeing what that fellowship was. So Bird bid 3 to go first. Prancing Pony is allowing him to tutor Aragorn, Legolas, Arwen start. This Son of Thranduil again. This is interesting. Haldir and a Laureate Elf coming out. Very wide fellowship. Aragorn with his bow. I did suspect from the Laureate Elf with the bow last time that some kind of archery setup. Argolos playing his... We didn't see tons of it that last time around. I think there is a solid combination here of Eisen Orcs and Uruk-hai. Clearly going for overall wounding. 5 points of archery fire coming at Site 4. I'm not sure... Site 2, sorry. 2 from Legolas, 1 from Aragorn. I'm not sure where the other 2 came from. Oh, Haldir is an archer at a forest or a river, which was 1. I might need to play back something. There was 1 more point of archery than I had. 1 more point of archery than I count. I'm not sure what caused it. Oh, there was a double shot played. I was just watching too slowly to keep up. So yeah, very clearly, archer heavy deck, Aragorn exerting out to put out enough archery on Site 3, but he will be able to heal up on his fellowship phase. Lost drops Rosie and tutors Sting. It's going to use right away to take a peek at Bird's hand. Bird does have goblins, reducing the Twilight by a little bit and giving him an inkling of what he's up against. Estelle and the beginnings of our Elven allies. Tutoring Arwen playing Gwemagil. This is another quite wide fellowship that we're seeing. I know we've seen this before. Oops. Oh no. That was an interesting graphical glitch. But moving into the Trollshaw Forest, a good amount of Twilight on the board. Bird dropping. I wonder if he's got archery on both sides of this deck. 2 Mori Archer troops is going to produce 4 points of archery. The Goblin Warrior is doing nothing terribly interesting here, but may win a skirmish. Secret Sentinels to get rid of the armory that was played. Letting Pippin take at least 3 points of archery. Is he going to keep Pippin around here, or does Pippin take the last point as well? Last point goes on Gandalf. 3 strength 8s is likely to win 2 of these skirmishes. Arwen could use Gwemagil to win hers if there's no boosts otherwise. But nobody here in danger of dying, not sacrificing Pippin to keep his fellowship smaller. Looks like he is willing to go wide, and Kea can be a looming threat if necessary. It's quite a few rounds already there in the Trollshaw Forest. Wrong Site 2 play from Bird, with Argolos taking a reconcile. Bird is healing up. His fellowship getting more tall than wide. Arwen with a flaming brand, still with the last alliance of elves and men. Both into stronger fighting shape. Gondor bowmen will let them get a couple extra points of archery as needed. That Isengard Smith is going to spot enough companions to discard all 3 people's possessions. If you can spot 5 companions. Interesting thing where you can discard all the possessions, but if you don't spot 5 companions, you can discard weapons, which includes artifact weapons. Always an interesting kind of check either way. But I think there is going to be... Oh, no, only 2 points of archery here. Not a forest or a river, so only Aragorn and Legolas. Yeah, Isengard Smith using his ability to prevent the first archery wound so he can take both without leaving play. Not Smith, Shaman. Keeping the Isengard Shaman in play, we'll see them overwhelmed by Aragorn. Arwen is damage +1 with that Glemigel, trying to stop the Smith from being able to do his discard effects. Getting rid of all of the possessions at this point would be very unfortunate for Bird. Sting is checking the hand, removing a single Twilight, and seeing that his opponent has a decent mix of Fellowship and Shadow. Bird's running. Straight to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, seeing an Overseer and Northern Berserker. One of you must do this. It's going to cause 2 exertions here. Both elves and men can be spotted on the field. Putting on the Overseer does mean that if the Overseer takes a single additional wound, it can't use its regroup ability. Won't surprise me if Aragorn exerts once to put that out there, but I'm not sure that that's something we'll see. That commander, we're exerting to get up to 4 archery. 4's not, no, okay, no, just 4. Nothing else special. Yep, putting on the Orc commander, the Overseer wants to be able to exhaust somebody. Truly, it's the same number of wounds either way. Commander can't target the ring, or the Overseer can't target the ring bearer, but it is targeted. It lets him choose which companion takes 2 exertions, as opposed to commander. If the archer was done the other way, would be able to give 2 wounds, but the choice would be Bird's. At 2 strength 11s, there's a decent chance that they're going to win their skirmishes as well. Saruman's ambitions on the field will not help them do so, but they are, at a glance, larger than their opponents. Stel could discard a single card here to get bigger. That might be the plan, but no, he's just going to take the wound. Putting those wounds on Aragorn and Arwen does make the choice for Overseer harder. Yeah, Legolas is totally fine. It could have been Haldir. But if either Aragorn or Arwen had 2 wounds to take, they definitely would have been the target, fully exhausting them. So Bird, Fellowship fairly wide, not real tall right now, but is crazy far across this map. Can really slow down unless Argolis is able to catch up. We did see this in the last game with Argolis, though. He took his time, he really built up his Fellowship, and was ready to move at the end. So Gandalf coming down along with Glamdring. We've got a Bounder and Thorin's map. Ready to, I'm going to say it again, stop Site 7 from discarding all of his allies, but Stali used his much earlier than expected, and maybe Argolis will as well. He's able to draw additional cards thanks to the Trollshaw Forest as he's playing some of these possessions on his companions. Doing a little bit of healing. Bird is attempting to get his setup again. Ooh, and Nkea coming down. He does definitely spot over 6 companions. In fact, spots 7. He can safely kill off anybody but Aragorn. And if he chooses to get Gandalf, he could get an additional wound somewhere as well. A couple of goblins coming out to round this out. Scimitar to start drawing. Yeah. So we're popping off Gandalf. Got 1 more wound if he wants to use it. Interested to see where it goes. Aragorn, reducing the effectiveness of that bow, putting him closer to being able to get taken out. Definitely not a bad play. One arrow coming back at him. Everyone's exhausted. Yeah, taking out the runner. Runner was going to lose their fight to Aragorn or Arwen anyway. In this case, he does have the potential for 3 more wounds here if there's no boost on Arglas' side. I am wrong. Lady of Dama can spot a Site 3 ally, reducing their opponent's strength. Aragorn is using his ability large enough to take out a KO. All right. Arglas is moving straight through the sanctuary. Not sure if he's feeling like he's too far behind. Or if he's just feeling that confident. Archer troop and a marksman coming down. That is going to be 3 arrows coming his way. Nope, 1 arrow coming his way unless he keeps the marksman alive. He could use the armory to force Ramil to do his ability 1 more time, but I don't think he's got an ability to keep him fully on the table. So, question if Bird forces an exhaustion on Ramil or accepts that he'd like to keep his armory for another turn. So a single arrow coming through, possibly 1 more wound from the troop itself. No healing at the sanctuary, but fairly safe move to Site 4. Letting Pippin die there, likely to avoid another Unkea from coming in and destroying his fellowship. 1 got dropped, or would almost certainly leave the game. But has caught up quite a bit, even if his fellowship is not in the best of shape. We're over to Bird, whose fellowship is in rather rough condition right now from a wounds perspective. Is moving into a sanctuary. Has dropped a few more allies to be able to help against orcs or against regroup phase, which is going to be very strong here. And Galadriel's already in play, allowing them to heal every turn. So Saruman is going to allow assignment as he sees fit with how wounded this fellowship is. But no minions were played. One of you must do this is going to cause 2 exertions here. Certainly not something that Bird is going to love, but there's no skirmishes happening. And Saruman is immune to archery wounds. Yeah, getting an extra heal, reducing that wound a little bit. Each time an Elven companion heals here, you can exert an Elven ally to heal that companion. It's only once per phase. That's a recent redo. Bird cycling a double shot out of his hand, not actually going to make any difference here. He had way more than enough archery than he could ever have wanted, and Saruman can't take those wounds. I am assuming Bird is going to stop here. He could definitely use the healing, especially against the deck he's facing off on. He is still 2 sites ahead. Bird's about to walk in, not Bird. Arglas is about to walk into the bridge of Khazad-dûm. He's not set up as well as we saw him in the last match, and there is almost certainly going to be a Beleriand. He is facing off against Moria. So this may well be a stop, but we shall see. He does have hobbits. A pair of stealths could go a long way here. Sam fetching a frying pan for himself. Very exhausting out to get another hobbit party guest. Guessing is going to be used to heal up Rosie and then Sam. Bilbo is going to get rid of the Goblin Armory. Bilbo's going to reduce the Twilight a little bit here. I think we're about to march into Site 3 with 15 Twilight on the table. 14 Twilight. I can't count, apparently. 2 Goblin Armories coming down. Bird really wants to keep those there. And Kea coming out, but no longer having 6 companions for him to do his terrible, terrible things with. Host of Thousands. I'm going to guess for a runner so that he can grab the Balrog. Yeah, Flame of Undoon, unlike Doran's Bane, does not discard your other minions. Allows him to work with a swarm, but it also allows him to work with things like Unkea here, making this a bit more of a kind of beatdown site than a swarm site. The runner is not going to be doing a whole lot here, but Unkea and the Balrog are both currently geared to win 2 skirmishes. Nothing can survive a single one with the Balrog based on the table itself. I think we're sacrificing Mary. Almost certainly no boosts for Unkea as a splash in this deck, so putting him against Frodo is a fairly safe bet. Both Balrog and Unkea are coming in for another round. Not sure where the Balrog is going to go, unless there's a trick here. Somebody else is going to die. Nope. Bounder on the table means Frodo requires a 18 to overwhelm, not 17, and the Mithril Coat means he'll only take the 1 wound. Aragorn's going to take 1 more from Unkea. Now, this is an area where I would normally expect to stop, but if Argolis is truly trying to keep up, he could run, which would cause the Balrog to be discarded. That's exactly what he's doing. The Balrog in Fellowship Block does not stay on the table if you're not underground. And so continuing that move leaves Unkea and some Twilight on the field, but it has let him catch up, being several sites behind to being in a much better position now, at least on the sitemap. His Fellowship is not in the same shape as I'm sure he would like to be seeing it, and it may continue to get worse as he moves through this set of challenges. A couple of archery, not gonna do all that much, I don't think here, but all of those skirmishes are potentially losable depending on how he sets it up. Frodo is already exhausted. If he decides to take on any more fights, he's going to have to start taking burdens. Wearing a Sildur's Bane, that is 2 burdens per wound, and we know Bird is running and does not want to hit the 5 point. What happened to the minion archery fire? It says there was only 1. I'm not sure what. Oh, the Mithril Coat prevented 1. All right. Successfully surviving with his remaining 4 companions here at Site 6. Both of these fellowships are rather beat up. Neither have a huge amount of equipment here. I do feel like Argolis had showed that he had quite a bit in his deck in the last match we saw. Bird giving Aragorn some more love there. Aragorn and Arwen are both fairly tall. Even Legolas is getting his equipment. Another Site 6 ally. More Lorien Elves. He is not afraid of Unkea at all, it seems, especially with Tale of Gil-galad now on Arwen. Moving through, there is no archery phase here, which means that we could see quite the hit coming from Argolis. Bird, definitely built around his archery, is not going to be able to do much in the way of stopping power here. Or think Berserker is definitely going to exhaust somebody. I think it's Aragorn. And he'll be able to assign as he sees fit, probably putting the Smith on somebody like Lorien Elf to ensure he can discard all of those possessions. Yeah, cycling through his deck with abandoning a reason for madness, but not playing anything extra. There's our exhaustion. Straight to the assignment phase. Putting the Berserker on Aragorn, maybe planning to use those ambitions. Trying to take Aragorn out of the play. Putting the Smith on the Lorien Elf, I think, was fully expected here. He did attempt to put the Shaman on Haldir, but Haldir exerted to stop it. Looks like Bird will be able to assign the Shaman as he sees fit, which could go a long way here. Killing that Shaman early will stop it from being able to prevent additional wounds if he's got some trick for the Isengard Smith. And using the Bow of Galadriel, he is going to get a... Oh, no, he's putting the wound on... Keep Aragorn alive. Certainly not a misplay. I think that's a very smart choice. Wounding the Smith once, but the Smith is still going to get rid of every possession. Hard hit here, I think, for Bird. But he's going to run anyway. He has exhausted a Saruman out there, which means that he does not need to worry about another Saruman hitting play, which is a very strong position to be in against a deck that wants to be doing its own assignments that way. Another Berserker coming out, going to exhaust Arwen this time around. One assumes if he's got a Saruman's power, exhausting Arwen first. Oh no! If he'd done the Berserker first, he could have killed Arwen. I think that was a misplay there. Very unfortunate for Argalos, though. There is still quite the breadth of cards on the field here. I don't think he is making it out of this site meaningfully unscathed. It is a river, so we've got a few extra archery out there. Lauren is going to be wounding, reducing the number of things to fight here. Absolutely crucial in this point. No orcs on the field at the moment. Regular archery looks like it is going to do the rest. Single Orthanc Berserker. Gotta think it's a Sacrificial Elf, which is presumably what they're in there for. Though we did see Elven Bows previously, so they may well get equipped sometimes. Strong side 8. If Arwen could have been dispatched there as well with just a change in the order of that play, I think it would have been much stronger. Bird is once again far ahead. Argalos, unless he's got some kind of move +1 here, and I don't see it. There's no gifted boats on the table. Is unlikely to be able to catch up. All he needs to do here is dump as much fellowship as he can, be in a strong point to drop 9 win. Sulfin is asking how many rounds are in this tournament. Before all right, so Bird is going to be dropping any and everything he can here to ensure that he's got a strong free people's hand to go into Site 9. He doesn't really care if he can slow down Argalos at this point in time. There's no situation there where there was going to be enough to get the win. And all he needs is to survive with Frodo. He's dropping down a bunch of low-cost equipment, leaving 14 total points, though it will get raised significantly by discarding a couple of Isengard cards, and the site will reduce the cost of all minions for Isengard by 1. There could be quite the swarm here. Of course, just don't know what Argalos has in hand. He is discarding an Orc Commander here for the second one, getting more Twilight, but losing a valuable minion. So it'll depend on what he's got. Captain's going to be pulling out more minions here. Current errata of the captain does allow you to exert any Urukai, not just himself. So he becomes far more useful in this kind of situation to bring out a solid horde. Those raiding parties are going to make everybody larger and themselves fierce with this many Urukai on the table. And the Orthanc Berserker is going to exhaust somebody. Raider is not triggered, it's just larger because of the Urk raiding parties, but it will trigger if Bird attempts to use either of his archers here, which could make him more dangerous. So there is nothing on the board here that well, no, the raiding parties are fierce unless he's able to clear out several. Healing up before the archery phase. We are neither at a river nor a forest. So we're seeing Olafin trigger. The raider will kill him to get his boost. But was wounded and killed from the grave by Olafin himself. That worked out quite nicely for him. Exerted Remill, but there's no orc on the table. So for another card. A couple of double shots coming through, making it so there's 3 arrows, but that is not sufficient here to take out any more minions. Frodo can survive a fort up to a 13. Unless he's got a boost. Yeah, the loss of all of his gear really hurt Bird on site 8 there. I think may well be costing him the game. Ensuring that Arwen dies because everyone else is almost certainly going to, forcing the 2 raiding parties onto Frodo during the fierce skirmish. So it's going to be a 22 strength on Frodo. Frodo has 5 points worth of boost. This game goes to Bird. Otherwise, Summon of Amahen, Slopes of Amahen is where this fellowship ends. Well played all. Really good game to watch. That was a lot of fun. All right. They're Nameless Guy. Nope, that's not one of ours. All right, so we've got 1 minute left. Let's take a quick check at the tournament tab. So our top contenders are Arglus, Solif. Well, Arglus is actually in the lead. He wins, he will win the whole thing. Solifin, Basmelis, TMSS2, and Astali have each won 2. So Arglus's table is going to be one to watch. But if Arglus loses, it could be anybody's match. Basmelis' current strength of schedule put him as a good tiebreaker. If Solifin also loses, there's a lot of people who could potentially take this tournament out right now. That's really cool to see. So we're going to watch Arglus's game. That is going to be our determiner. If he wins, he is our victor today. And if he loses this match, then we shall have to see how the others go. Give it the rest of this minute for the last game to pop up. Switch to Legacy so we can quickly see who gets the bye. I don't think there's any current issues with our bye system, but just to really ensure that we don't somehow get Arglus having a bye due to super weird setups. We have seen it before. It is fully how the buy system works, but sometimes it's not as intuitive as you'd think it would be. You don't know exactly who's played everybody off the top of your head. No, I certainly don't. I don't see a round 4 will start in 1 minute tag here. Am I wrong? Was there only 3 rounds here? Did somebody drop? It says playing games. I'm not sure what I'm missing here. It doesn't show it as finished. But we're also not seeing the next table come up. I'm also suddenly seeing not the, I wonder if I need to refresh. Some chatter going on. Oh. It's because Smiles and Dostali haven't finished yet. Oh my goodness. That's what I'm seeing here. Let's check out that game. Oh my. Oh. Yeah. They haven't finished their match. I'm not crazy. I just don't know how to look for things. All right. So Dostali here, we've seen him before. Basmalis we have not, other than a brief end. He is playing Nazgul. It looks like very similar, likely, to what he played in last year's World Championship. Or maybe the one before that. There was a recent Nazgul World Championship where Basmalis absolutely reset the meta, using many copies of, I think, just these 4, along with a number of equipment. Yeah, enough burdens on the table for Toldea to choose who he fights. No Unkea here. Kantea has clearly been doing a good job of keeping the weapons off of Dostali's Fellowship. Dostali is 1 side ahead right now at 7 versus 6. Yeah, Legolas, being the Prince of Mirkwood, does get strength 3 there against Atea, letting him survive. Using the single -1 generic debuff from one of our Site 3 allies, prevents an overwhelm on Arwen, unless Basmalis has some kind of boost. Oh, preventing the wound as well, keeping Arwen in good shape. Boromir surviving 10 against 12. Gandalf taking his wound as well. Unless we jumped in after the Fierce Skirmish, this is... Yep, we are about to move into it. Toldea is staying on Boromir. I think he knows he's not going to win, but he wants to keep the wounds on. Not super sure how much that matters. Witch King is a 20. 16 against Arwen, thanks to the Elven allies. There is potentially another -1 for Arwen to do the same trick. She could also use Gwemigo. Not sure. I just heard that kind of something closing sound again. You know, if anybody is hearing weirdness, may still just be my headset. Frodo using Bounder to stay alive here against Kantea. Certainly not when he put Kantea on Arwen, but I'm surprised to not see the Witch King going there again. Yeah, puts another wound on Boromir. Witch King on Legolas. You would need... Yep. Legolas is gone. Gandalf is going to fend off Matea with just another wound. This is the shadow that we've seen before, where it's just 4 Nazgul that Beth Smells is using. Interested to see him losing Legolas there instead of letting Arwen take a wound. But perhaps Unkea has been coming out, and Vistali is making sure Arwen can survive that. Only 5 cards left in Basmelis' deck. Could be a real problem for him if they are not a sufficient number of minions to stop Vistali from running. Smallis is well set up on his own right. His Aragorn is doing well. Aloran spots 2 of his 3 elven allies to get his strength boosts. Boromir now with his own last alliance of elves and men is in solid shape and can help keep Frodo healthy. Stolly dropping a pair of Uruk-hai armories. These fairly good against archery fire and can help prevent some wounds, but I think mostly you're here for that Berserker. Getting 5 spottable Isengard cards goes a very long way. But Smells moving on to Site 8, drawing additional cards for additional companions. That will be 1 extra card for Distali here. Distali's got quite the small swarm going with 12 Twilights still on the table. Wonder if we just see a swarm continue to unfold here. Could get 3 more 2-cost minions out. Or 1 big one and 1 more small one. Looks like those raiders have triggered. Yep, Smells has an ally in the dead pile. Raiders are strength 9, damage +1. Thanks to that, making them quite efficient pulls for how inexpensive they are here. I'm not sure Smells has to worry about losing the game here. Son of Denethor being fully healed means that Frodo could become a 10. Bounder would mean 30 to overwhelm. But there is a lot of minions on the field here and a lot of damage +1. Meaning that anybody who gets doubled up on has a very good chance of dying, even if they're not overwhelmed. Only Frodo with his 5 vitality in the ring is likely to be able to take those wounds. That's what? 2, 5, 8 minions against 5 companions. Stolly's going to be able to load up really wherever he sees fit. The debuffs here from Sabbath, single large debuff will negate one of these Uruk-hai, I think entirely, whichever one he wants, which will help. No orcs on the table, but he's got 1 extra -1 if he needs it. 1 wound from Olafin could well be used here. Oh, no. We're already past the archery phase. Moving faster than I am. I don't see any... Just looking around for other options on the table here. 3 of these to assign for Distali. He could drop them all on Frodo. It would require Boromir to fully exert and then Bounder to be used, but it would not end the game. 5 wounds, however, would put Frodo in a state where he can't keep doing that. But I suspect more likely we're going to see some pile-ups against some of these other companions to ensure that they can't be there next round. Second one on Boromir or Legolas or Gandalf almost certainly mean that they leave the table with the extra damage pluses. Aragorn, I think you would need to put 2 of them on 3. I think you would need to put all 3 for the same effect. Sabalith could negate the single raider on him. You don't want Aragorn taking 2 of them and then handily defeating the skirmish. Stully is a much more skilled player than I am. interesting choice of how he's played this out, ensuring kills on 2 companions and forcing Boromir to use his ability to keep Frodo alive. Well, that doesn't change that Boromir is going to die. Allowing Gandalf to win the 1. Boromir only needs to exert once here, but it does mean Saboleth might be able to keep Boromir alive. Not using Boromir at all. Bounder only. No Saruman's ambitions on the table to push up to a 12. I've got to think we're seeing Saboleth used to negate the Raider. It will result in Saboleth probably dying to the last. Oh, no, all Raiders are already exhausted. Legolas is not surviving this fight. Not as devastating as it could have been, but definitely a strong shadow side there from Distali at side 8. Distali having only a minute and a half left. Basmelis only 1 minute longer than that. These players do need to go quickly in order to avoid loss by timeout. Distali is dropping a Mithril Coat, card draw, and healing with Elrond. He is moving along. Only 4 companions means there is no extra card draw. 14 Shadow for Basmelis to use. Orlog Gates for the Witch King. Playing Pale Blade. Damage +1 is going to go a long way against Arwen. Potentially allow for a kill on Gandalf. But if there's not a second minion here, this is probably not a game-ending Site 8, but is it a stop? Basmelis has 8 cards total left in this game, Distali only 12. Needs to make the choice of if he thinks that a solo Witch King is the only thing he's going to fight or not. I have not been watching this game nearly long enough to have a feel for how many of each Nazgul has been played, but Distali may well be keeping count. All right, going on Frodo, using a -1 to allow Frodo to take only 1 wound. The Pale Blade will allow it to trigger to discard Elbrith. I think that's the only condition on the table. Oh, could grab a Last Alliance as well on the second win here. Bounder, keep Frodo alive on the second run. Guessing the Witch King is going to Pale Blade out the Last Alliance on Boromir. Running to Site 9. So using Frodo's tricks out of the gate means that he needs the rest of the companions to survive here. Whether Basmelis was bluffing by not playing a second Nazgul at Site 8, or if he simply drew into them, I do not know. He did have 3 cards left in his deck at the end there. I think this is the end for Distali. Less than a minute on the clock for both these players. They need to play fast here, which means even if there is some way out, the amount of time to think through the situation is very limited. All right. Frodo. Oh, no. Doing Arwen first. Arwen using Gwemagil to get a strength boost, and then Kentea discarding Gwemagil. Arwen have a +2 here. Nope, but does prevent the wound. One of the wounds. Boromir dies to Kentea. Frodo takes his hit from There's here. And game over. Distali has run out of time. I'd love to have seen this play out. What a good game. Very cool end of it there. Basmelis does take it at site 9. All right. So hopefully my earlier confusion alleviated. We do solidly go into, yes, 1 minute before the final round. Give everyone a chance to grab a drink or whatever if they need it. Stretch their legs. All right. Now we should see the actual finals. So Basmelis Argolis will be the table we're going to watch. That is the table that will decide the winner of this match. One of them will end up undefeated. So that's the game that we're going to want to play. We have still not seen Solifin or TMSS2. I'm disappointed, or I think we saw just the very end of a Stefan game. May well have to do some replay commentary later on, but I think we definitely want to see this last match. All right. Right. Smells won the bid with 6. Pippin of Some Intelligence, Mary Horticulturist, and Sam, son of Hamfest. We have seen him do this before in last year's World Championship. He's going to use Mary to pull Rosie, which lets Sam remove several more burdens than he would normally be capable of. And we will see an Aragorn played from the Prancing Pony. I don't remember if he uses other Hobbit allies or if Mary and Pippin are here only to ensure that he can go first. Going first in this game is a very large advantage. Not all players worry terribly about it and count on their shadow being effective enough at slowing. But Basmelis, as an absolute top tier player, he has won, I think, 3 World Championships in a row. He's well aware of just how valuable it can be. So Sam exhausting out along with Pippin, reducing the burden count from 6 to 4. After adding 1 extra from Estelle, puts him below the Nazgul sword threshold, which is kind of the first threshold you worry about with burdens and fellowship block. A lot of Twilight on the field. Argolis gets down a single minion and a Hollowing of Isengard. Solid support area setup, but he, I'm sure, is wishing here he had something else to play. Those hobbits may be throwaway, but getting rid of them this early means that they're not there to take on some bigger minions later. Nothing else to play from Argolis has got to be hard. He could, of course, be planning on a bomb at Site 4. But looks like an unfortunate situation to me. Basmelis says, there they are again. I wonder if they played in the movie tournament last month. I was unable to watch that one. A conflict. All right, so very similar fellowships here. Obviously, Argolis not going for the Hyperburden removal Site 1, instead opting for a Sam that will continue to give more support throughout the game. But both of them having Estelle. Looks like we've got Remil expecting Orcs, and Olafin expecting Uruk-hai pulled out. Bounder, Elrond. We've got Arister, who helps prevent wounds to our elves. Bilbo coming down for Argos. Sam fetching Red Book of Westmarch. Starting his draw engine with those tails. Prince of Mirkwood putting him into 6 companion territory. I do not know for sure that Basmelis is running Inkea as heavily as he is the others that we saw at the very end of his match with the Stolly. But if he is, it popping out here could be very bad for him. And there it is. Immortal Gates into Ankea right off the bat. Atea and Toldea both hitting the field. Enough Twilight to get them all out. No Twilight left for Atea. No weapons for Kantea to take care of, but Ankea is, I'm guessing, killing Legolas. Though he could be going for 3 wounds on Aragorn in the hopes that the Fierce Skirmishes finish him off. But no, Legolas it is. No archery fire either direction here. Stell can survive 2 skirmishes. Legolas is not going to lie, wasn't expecting this. Clearly not ready for 3 Nazgul, along with a companion already dead before the assignments at Site 2. I am not sure that this isn't game right here. If he doesn't have some way of keeping... Oh, Bounder can fight, and Bounder... No, Bounder cannot be used before the fight to keep Pippin alive, unfortunately. If that had gone on Frodo, he maybe could have been. But it's too late for that kind of call. Aragorn using his ability. Starting a Secret Sentinel. Does he have a second Elven card in hand to bring himself up to a 13? He does, getting rid of a copy of Gwenmagil. Aragorn will defeat Ankea in the field. He will win the skirmish, but an All Blades Parish keeps Ankea alive. 3 fierce skirmishing Nazgul. Oh, what a first turn play from Basmelis. Yeah, a little bit of chatter in the game chat here. Nazgul going first was nasty enough. Just filthy to play the All Blades Parish to keep Ankea on the table. Basmelis accepts that he got kind of the perfect draw for this. Frodo is going to pass the ring to Sam. Merry leaves the table. Aragorn takes a wound. Argolis is definitely going to stop there. We have seen what his fellowship does. It gets very deep and potentially is going to be able to support these 2 throughout several more sites. But that is definitely a rougher Site 1 than he was looking for, Site 2 than he was looking for. Basmelis healing up the Sanctuary, leaving the wounds on Pippin. Pippin, at this point, I do believe is here entirely to be able to take on something big and die. Galadriel, not our Site 6 healer, but our Forest Site player and 1 elf a turn healer. Moving into Holland. 12 Twilight on the field. Uruk-hai will not be roaming, and Eisenorks are natively no longer roaming at Site 4. He does ditch something for the Hollowing of Isengard. Gets out an Uruk Raider, Isengard Shaman. Oh, no, he's got a small swarm coming through here. Building up that support area. Swarman's Ambition and another Hollowing of Isengard. Nothing here is terribly large at this point, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. Only Aragorn can really take a fight here. Sam does have a frying pan to use against the Orc. Isengard Shaman on the table could be hit by that. But the rest are in rough territory, and that Raider will at least help prevent Rumil from doing too much here. Basmelis commenting that some of those cards are not normally in constructed decks, and Argolis telling him that he likes to walk on the wild side. I think it is true, this combination of cheap Uruks and Eisenorks with the strength of the current Orthanc Berserker is very interesting deck concept that we have not seen a lot of historically. I think it's really been enabled by some of the recent PC errata. Really enjoying seeing it. I think that there's a fairly established understanding that the Orthanc Berserker is a little overtuned at the moment, along potentially with the Captain, but the rest of these cards, I'm not personally of the opinion that they are. And I think that we might continue to see this kind of mixed Isengard shadow sides. Chatter looks like it's done in chat. Besmelis is figuring out how he best wants to handle this. He doesn't have to lose anybody here if he doesn't want to, but he may choose to take this moment to get rid of Pippin. Frodo wins a skirmish, Pippin dies to the raiding party. Something's going on here. Estelle is going to handily win this fight. Discarding with Estelle, just a cycle. Getting an extra damage +1 there was not required. And then Sam takes his hit. Smells is going to stop there. He's handily ahead and does not want to walk into the Bridge of Khazad-dûm with the setup he's got right now. Don't think he's worried about a Balrog at this point, but that much swarm on the table, he does not well set up for another 3, 4, 5 minions. Arglas is going to exert Sam to pull something. Grab and build a pony. Yeah, keeping that Twilight down is going to be very effective against Nazgul. It also lets him draw a card. Elrond, not keeping Twilight down, but giving him another body that can survive a Nazgul at site 3 is very effective. He's not walking into the Fords of Brune, so he doesn't need to be too worried about more than one Nazgul coming with only 6 Twilight. 3 Blade Tips, on the other hand, is got to be terrifying at this moment. The ability for them to get put on as his Nazgul win means that there's a very good chance, I'm going to say Aragorn and Elrond both take a Blade Tip here, though he could choose to sacrifice Elrond entirely to this, accepting 2 losses and a Blade Tip. It will not kill Elrond before he gets to heal himself up, but it will put him in a much worse position to be able to do a lot of his drawing tricks later in the game. He no longer gets to just heal, he's going to be neutral turn over turn. Smellis triggering all of his start of turn healing abilities, then using Rosie to get Sam into better shape. Got a couple of Site 3 allies coming down, along with Legolas. Prince of Mirkwood's text is probably not going to do anything here, but an extra body is going to be well worth it against this Isengard Pseudoswarm that Arglas is running. Arglas could choose to drop a Balrog here if he doesn't have a great hand. I don't know for sure he's got one in the deck, but it's always an option in Fellowship Luck. But I don't think he is. He's cycling some cards out of his hand to increase the shadow pool. All right. So the Isengard Shaman are going to ensure that nobody is going down too hard from archery fire or directed wounding, though it is entirely possible to see one of them lost entirely from an overwhelm. Thormund can force some assignments here, but not against Aragorn, unless if Busmelis is willing to exhaust. Exerting the Overseer for one of you must do this is going to cause 2 exertions here. We spot an elf and a man. Single point of archery coming from Busmelis' shadow. The Isengard Shaman simply ignores it. He's trying to force Servant onto Mary. I expect the Overseer to be forced onto somebody here as well. But Again, on Sam is a strong choice. Bounder can definitely keep Sam alive here. Frying Pan with the Shaman on the table is going to prevent him from being able to wound out the Overseer. Having chosen to do the Overseer second, though, does mean Sam could prevent this if he's willing to exhaust. Sarman only has one more exertion after this one. Sam can exert twice to prevent an assignment if he so sees fit. Now, there is enough Twilight that even if the Overseer is put on Aragorn, he can prevent the 2 wounds, potentially even 3 if Estelle is used once. But if Estelle's ability is used twice, or he is able to be reduced enough by Sibyleth on the table for an overwhelm, it's real problems. But nope, Basmalis accepting the assignment. Starting with Aragorn, who overwhelms one of the Shaman, which is not going to truly matter here. The Overseer is going to get a nice strength reduction, or 1 point strength reduction from Sibyleth. Why did I think that should be bigger? Oh, because he's the Uruk-hai. We don't have the Orc one, but it is enough to allow Sam to survive. The Orc Overseer exhausting Aragorn. Smell is stopping. All right, Sam and Aragorn going for the long run. Elrond trading a wound, keep himself. At this point, he ended the last turn, probably will remain for most of the game. Sam is going to fetch himself, I'm assuming some kind of weapon, a sword, frying pan. Nope, Thor's map. Going to be an interesting one. It does require exerting 2 hobbits, but they do not have to be companions, so it could be Sam and Bilbo if he finds that there is a site he needs to get rid of later. Getting rid of one of those blade tips and getting rid of the last alliance of elves and men for the second blade tip. Really doesn't want those on either Sam or Aragorn, but especially on Aragorn, I think. Only 4 Twilight out, but a Morgul Gates allows Nelia to hit the table. Nelia will swap out the site, which causes an early discard to build the pony. And because he also had a hand weapon, is going to give Nelia plus damage +1. This is, I mean, just yet again another potential game-ending play here. Sam definitely doesn't have to die, but if Aragorn does, there might be very little for Arglos going forward. What a strong start here from Basmalis. Their Site 6 ally to be able to wound in the regroup phase. Surprisingly strong against some of these Eisenorcs. Allows you to really reduce their damage output. Moving into Site 6. Does have 3 allies on the table for Site 6, so a Swarm Overwhelm here is unlikely to be very effective. You can toss away Ramil after causing 2 wounds during the archery phase, Caligan, and even Gladriel if he so chooses. Saruman coming out is going to allow him to assign pretty much as he sees fit for at least 1 minion here, depending on what he drops. That may... All right. We've got a Parashaman and an Uruk Savage. 2 Twilight left in the field means he can heal a Isengard minion, which does apply to Saruman, but only during the maneuver phase. So it's not going to help him get extra assignments out. Secret Sentinels is going to get rid of the Hollowing of Isengard. So Saruman can assign only to companions. He cannot force a kill here on Gladriel or Ramil. Another Secret Sentinel's coming through. Really reducing his support area here. 3 archery coming out. Are we exhausting everybody, or are we losing the savage? Oh, I miscounted. All right. Saruman's going to try to put 2 wounds on Legless using the shaman. Just trying to push 2 more onto Sam. I don't think there's much reason for him to try to assign the savage. Yeah, allow Aragorn to take that one out. Sibboleth does reduce Uruk-hai quite effectively. He could force either of these fights to be won. It's going to be Sam's. Smells is going to stop there. He'll be able to be mostly healed. Not fully healed thanks to Rosie, as he leaves Site 6. If he leaves Site 6, Argalos, having nothing to play, it looks like, is accepting that Sam will not survive the Bridge of Khazad-dûm and concedes the game here. Batsmelis is going to be our winner of the tournament today, but I suspect there's still some games going on. So let's see what's still happening. All right, so we've got 2 games still in play. We have not seen Stefan or Solifin. Solifin's game is closer to end. Let's check out his table, and maybe we'll grab the very tail end of Stefan's as well. Ooh, it looks like we've got a Sauron grind deck here. One I haven't seen in the tournaments so far this season, but I do think recently has gotten quite a strong boost with the hinder mechanic changing. It means it takes much less time to get the setup back following a board wipe. Those wipes are not nearly as effective as they used to be. We've got, goodness, some cards I'm not accustomed to seeing a lot of. Mordor Enraged, which stopping Estelle from doing Estelle things. And you bring Great Evil here. Frodo can't heal at Sanctuaries. It's been quite a bit of chatter I'm not going to be able to catch up on and still see what's going on with the game. Nope, it's not stopping Estelle from doing Estelle things. Shepard's player uses an archery special ability. It's stopping him from using the bow. Or using the bow very well, anyway. But it is not stopping him from absolutely slaughtering this ambusher and assassin. Though Distali is down to a fairly small fellowship here. So while he is cycling his hand as hard as he can, getting rid of all of those extra cards, likely in preparation for a kill attempt at Site 8 himself, he is not in danger of losing these fights. Took the wound from the frying pan, would have been wounded the other way around anyway, and stops there. So we've got Boromir redeemed, which is going to be Defender +1, helping against a Swarm here. Quite the stack on Shards of Narsil, allowing him to get back all kinds of duplicate equipment. But a few things that are useful here. Athos will allow for a quick heal. Stolly does say that Athos might have just won you the game. Getting that 1 extra vitality on Gandalf stops him from being killable with a single damage +1 loss. Yeah, also stops the Tower of Orthanc. Stolly would have had far more Twilight moving into the next site than he is going to now. So Uruk Captain is going to come out along with the Savage. These fellowships are in no danger of having more than 4 companions. We could see 2, maybe even 3 more small minions here. This could still be a hard stop, but Distali is correct. The Captain comboing with the 3 Towers of Orthanc would have been 3 additional minions coming out almost certainly. large difference in what the final is going to end up being here. So we can see 2 more strength 2 minions. Do we have no ally in the dead pile? They probably won't be raiders. Or we could see 1 more larger minion here. A berserker, perhaps. Get that exhaustion down on Boromir so his armor doesn't let him continue to fight off multiple damage +1s every turn. Some very friendly chatter going in chat here. Curious what Distale's last play is going to be. Yep, there is the Berserker, played from hand, not tutored with the Earth Captain. A final report thing. Using the Palantir to try to make the Shaman bigger. If he holds onto cards, I bet he uses it for the Savage as well. Oh yeah, he's holding on to quite a few cards, but almost all. Yeah, it looks like still Sharp being the only. Oh, and Servant of the Sacred Fire. 2 Servant of the Sacred Fires. There is quite a lot of boost in Zolfin's hand, which should not be surprising. He is playing. Nope. It's not on the table right now, but we saw it in one of his previous matches. The I would have followed you to the end. Yeah, exhausting Boromir. Boromir will become Defender +1, will valiantly, I'm sure, fend off the Berserker and the Shaman to allow Frodo and Gandalf survival here. Interesting choice to allow for Gandalf to be exhausted again, unless there is a boost played. We do, of course, know that Servant of the Sacred Fire is in play. Not worth playing a boost here, except to cycle it out of hand. This Overwhelm is not the reason Boromir is going to die in this fight. Oh, he's going out on his own terms. I love it. Gandalf playing 2 Servant of the Sacred Fires. He is not going to have a Sight 9. He needs to cycle them out of his hand to ensure that Gandalf is fine. Distali is going to be forced into a move. He has too many wounds and burdens to be able to take those Orc Bowmen. If he doesn't have a heal or some additional companions here, though, there are 2 archery reduction, and Arwen is going to help a lot. Another Orc Bowman for a total of 5 archery, 6 archery. It's going to be reduced a little bit thanks to, oh goodness. I think Distali might be going down to arrow fire here. Yeah, preventing a few more wounds. Putting on the 1 ring. Can only take 1 more wound with Frodo with the 1 ring before he is corrupted. Which means the scouting band has to go somewhere else. But I don't think Frodo can take 3 Orc ambush troops, or even 2 plus an ambusher. Looking at chat, Distali is saying the same. Is that the end? Or is Distali thinking and trying to figure out if he's got some other trick up his sleeve? Oh, I do believe that is the end. We'll see it played out, but it's everything that very friendly chat. I love to see it. Distali, I think, properly playing through and watching the other companions die before Frodo does so himself. What an ending to the game. All right, we have no more playing tables. Our tournament has ended. Well played to everyone. Smellis is today's champion. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching it. Thank you to anybody who has stuck around this whole time. I do think we still have 7 people streaming on Twitch, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Distali is reminding me I have to update the standings. I do. I also need to hand out some prizes. I will. I'll make sure to do both of those things today. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't see anybody else in commentary here, so I am going to sign off. I super appreciate all of these players, and it has been a lot of fun to watch and commentate these games today. Thanks all.